We are yet again choosing to do this at a late hour on a Sunday night because both of us are. I know because I dropped the ball and totally messed up my schedule because I got really excited about not having to wake up to like a 5 o'clock alarm on
Oh
Saturday.
my god,
Never
yeah.
set an alarm and slept for literally the entire morning and woke up and it was almost noon. And I was like, all right, cool.
It's fine. One of those weekends. It's fine. Did we even say hi?
I don't know. Oh, I didn't. No, I didn't do the intro yet. Sorry.
It's okay.
All right. Well, hi. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Be More podcast. I'm Brittany.
I'm Maria, and what Brittany said. It's 9 p.m. on Saturday, so not our normal um filming time. Um, so kind of like last week, we're just gonna wing it. But now it's like we're gonna wing it, but also it's like night edition.
Dun dun dun. Which means more fun and terrifying stuff should happen.
Absolutely terrifying.
Nighttime
Um,
edition.
I'll say, do you want to talk about anything in particular? Because I do have a topic.
I don't have a memory this week. Whatever happens, I'm very present in it, and then I have no brain capacity to remember anything later. So I don't know what I. There probably was stuff I wanted to talk about it, but if I didn't text it to you, then it's
No,
not
I
happening.
got
Yeah,
no text from you this week.
it's not happening.
Nope. No, I just watched a new movie on Monday. I don't know what to talk about just because it's called Mirari. It's one of the new I think it's Oscar nominated. Yes, it is. It's one of the Oscar nominated films. It's about a Korean American family. Um, the parents immigrated to America, and then they moved their family from California to, oh God, Arkansas, like Midwest, very Midwest, yeah. And so it's a family of it's the parents, the daughter and the younger son, and
Okay.
the dad makes a farm basically. Like basically they're like farmers is what
Because
it is.
what else are you doing in Arkansas?
Right, right. And so I don't want to spoil the whole thing, but it was just very interesting to see that movie because it's very, for me being an Asian, again, this is all about being Asian American again this week. Um, for me seeing that movie, it was very, it like hit close to home with the whole immigration. Also, their grandma came over from Korea. Yeah. I don't know if she was in California, but their grandma came over to help take care of the children because the parents were working a ton. So it was like, oh, like my grandma coming over. And you remember when my grandma used to come over?
Oh
Both
my
of
god,
them?
I loved your
Yeah.
grandma.
Yeah. Both sets of, well, my grandma and grandpa on my mom's side and my grandma would used to come here. But there was like little subtle representations of the Asian community, like just the ways that like just interactions within the family, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I mean, I just want to give a shout out to that movie because it was very, very good. And also very,
You
very telling about the representation of just Asian culture,
you
honestly.
would be very proud of me, and this is
Hmm.
all thanks to Dan's sister. But I spent most of the afternoon watching anime.
Oh, what are you watching?
Something called Given.
Wait. I love that anime.
Do you really?
Did you finish it?
Yeah,
You did? I
yeah.
That song at the end is so good.
I know
I'm
the
just
music. We were talking a lot about the music. Alex, my friend Maria, watched Given and she liked it.
It's one of my favorite animes right now. You can tell her.
Her response was This is what you get out of a 17-year-old when you tell them something
Oh,
that
it's
you're
okay.
excited about.
That's fine.
Um,
Oh, it's so good. I love that anime.
Oh, it was
Oh,
very funny though, because I don't think I might have been sleeping during the first episode, so I only caught a second episode through everything else.
that's
But
fine. The first episode wasn't
I
that.
was okay. So Alex likes a lot of anime, so I've like been glimpsing at it while like
Yeah.
it's on our TV, and
Uh-huh.
I got an agreement on this, but I was like, I don't like that it takes 400 years for everything to happen.
Oh yeah. You know what's funny? So Kate, my mom is a big, well, when she was younger, big anime like like watcher or whatever. And we were actually watching anime today on the couch. And I agree. We were to watching one of our favorite anime with our mom, and it takes, we told our mom, we were like, give it a few episodes because it does have to build up.
But it's not even that. Like, even for like a character to like look and then
Oh,
respond
oh
took
yeah, no.
like a solid
You should
45 seconds.
you should So there's this volleyball anime that's very popular right now called Haikyuu. It's also on Netflix, but one season, there's like 4 seasons out right now, 4 or 5. Literally season 3 is one volleyball game. All 13 episodes is
No.
one volleyball game.
Uh-uh. Uh-uh. This is I can't. I can't.
Oh, it's so good
I
though.
can't.
It's so good though.
I can't do it. I can't. And it's
It's so, but
so
it's so normal for me because I'm such a big anime watcher that like
they're
that makes sense.
so emotional.
Mhm.
Like Given was like very much like and it was a really well written. I will say
Oh,
that it
it's
was
so
really well
good.
written,
Very well
and it's
written.
like gets you very drawn in because it's super romantic. But like all of the ones that I've gotten glimpses of, they're so emotional. The humor, some of the humor stuff is very funny. Like
Yeah,
they're very some of them are
I
very well
love it.
written, but it
I
just
love it.
takes. I don't have.
You're not
It's
in for the
hard
emotion.
enough for me to be
Well, you don't
emotionally
like.
attached to
I'm
something.
saying you don't like being emotional like when watching like
No,
consuming media like
no,
that.
and it's like
Yeah, you just want to like
I
watch
want
it.
it to be over with. Like I want to know what happens, and I
I
want to
love the
move
build
on.
up. I love
I
the
want to
build
move
up.
on. I want to move on. I want to move on. I want to move
Given
on.
is such a good anime. I
I want
highly
to move
recommend that.
on. Yeah, it was really good, especially if you like music. It was really cool.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
but yeah, I
That
don't know.
yeah,
I don't know how much I'll be diving into
the anime world.
on my own because I don't
No,
have the
you're
patience for it.
probably not on honestly.
Like I'm one of those
Um
people who like when it comes to like even like books and stuff, if the story is really good, like I'm gonna read it so I can get to the end. Like I want to
okay.
know. Like I
Yeah.
want it to be over. I want it like
You don't want it dragged on. Okay, that's fine.
I don't want it dragged on.
I don't think I like that with books, but I can deal with it with anime and manga.
Nope.
Excuse me.
Nope.
Um
Can't handle it.
Given's a very good anime. Oh my god, I've been wanting. I've been. I whoever I've been talking to, like, like my sisters are like, Ashley, I'm like, you have to watch Given. Like,
It
it's
was
one of
good.
those. Very good. Munity is also a very good movie for anyone that can get a hold of it. It's just rental now, or like if it's in theaters, it's theaters. Um,
Do you watch the this is relevant to our conversation. Do
yeah,
you another thing that I've been watching a lot of because this is what happens when Dan's sister comes to say and spend time with us. Do you know who the Try Guys are?
yes, I know who the Try Guys are.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it was very interesting. First of all, big fans.
yeah, very big
Um
fans.
the there's an episode where they bring in like their siblings to do like the lie detection
Okay,
tests,
huh.
and I thought it was very interesting because the dynamic, Eugene
Mhm,
is Asian.
mhm.
I don't remember what he
Korean.
is. He's Korean.
Yeah,
But there was a specific part of like the conversation that he was having with his sister where they started talking about like the dynamics of their Asian household and how
yeah,
like he was he got away with a lot more because he was the boy,
yeah,
and like there wasn't a lot of like, and he had said how he felt like when it came to college, like he was the more creative one. So he felt guilty about his family having to take a risk on him being the creative kid when like that wasn't what they wanted.
yeah,
Um, so it's just interesting to hear about his perspective. Like, I mean, I don't think this was shot like recently, but like this
yeah, yeah.
episode, but it's interesting to hear his perspective. Um, like in this time, like to get another perspective and be able to connect it to like
Mhm.
what you see going on.
Yeah,
And it was interesting because he and his sister, like the other siblings, were like able to like talk about their beef with each other or like let stuff air out, and like
yeah, yeah.
they like couldn't they were doing it but like couldn't do it, and there was
No,
it's
yeah,
still this like very interesting like sense of like there being a wall there or like a
yeah.
block there.
Always. Yeah.
And
Uh
I
huh.
just it made me laugh because it reminded me a lot of me. Like I'm obviously not did not grow up in an Asian household, but it reminded me a lot of like my brother and my relationship with my brother and the things that it's like I don't know, just like that level of like un
There's a wall there.
and I feel like it's like this like unspoken level of competition,
Oh my god, you can say that again. Yeah. Yeah.
and like it's like created by like the parents as a way
Oh
to
yeah.
like motivate you, but then it ends up becoming like this thing that creates issues between you and your siblings because then you feel like you're constantly being compared to them, and then you like
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
how to form a
100%.
relationship with somebody who you feel like you should be like in competition with. It's like that those
It's
things don't go
yeah.
together.
Um it's see, okay, so for people that don't know, like I'm the oldest and then you're the youngest of your family, basically. So in the perspective of the oldest, um and being like the guinea pig of the family, basically, of the, my parents. Um, it does happen. Number one, it does happen, and it gives us as the firstborns undue pressure. And I'm not saying this is for every family, obviously, just like the ones that I've also like encountered in just my personal um whatever. Um, so there is some sort of like, oh, look at your ate, your older sister, like look what she's doing, and I'm just like, they live their own lives, like, but then again, to your point, it does create this separation that you don't intend on happening, but it just was created because of your parents. So, and like that makes it harder for you or for siblings to open up to each other, because then obviously you don't want to seem weaker than the other one and all this shit. It's so bad. It's so toxic.
Do you feel like it would have been different if you were a boy?
Oh, 100%. If I was a boy, I'd be an asshole. Like more than I am right now.
I was not prepared for that response, but that was amazing. Genuine, like just genuine.
Genuinely, like I've thought about this. Oh, 100%. If I was a boy, forget it. And the oldest, a completely different person. So I would have gotten away with so much more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's for
yeah.
sure.
And I think I can probably just Asian. I don't know if it's like East Asian, Southeast Asian, South Asian, just the Asian culture with um having sons. Like forget it. They're like princes, you know. So
I feel like that's almost every other culture, but like every other society, but American society.
yeah,
Or I feel like we do it in a way that's super toxic. The way
it's
that we
super.
like
Yeah,
allow boys to get away with things.
100%. I think
Like say it's not their responsibility
I
or
think it's just Filipino boys are like spoiled. I think that's what it is, especially if like they're the oldest.
oh
And
yeah.
even no, I lie. But even the youngest ones are, I think, just the youngest of the
I feel
family. I
like
think is just spoiled.
boys really do just get like I don't think this happened really in my household, but I feel like boys do get spoiled more than girls do. Like girls have a lot more expectation, and like I feel like, and this is
Yeah,
again not necessarily relevant to my family, but like in a lot of family dynamics, it's always like the boys kind of can do whatever they want, and the girls are expected to be a certain way.
it's funny. Just going back onto the movie, just because it's very telling to like my personal journey. The oldest girl of the family immediately like she was like cooking already, and she's like in like elementary school and just like cooking and like taking care of herself and like taking care of her little brother and like making sure like I'm just like if like you were the if the girl was like a son, forget it. Like
Right,
spoiled
that
by
would
the
not
grandma.
be expected. Right,
Yeah.
that would not be necessary.
So every time she was like taking care of herself or like making sure like everything's okay, I'm like like this is so telling to like just daughters, like especially
Yeah,
the oldest. Yeah.
yeah. I think it's just an interesting thing that like we like I don't know the dynamic between families and what women are expected to take on. I mean, granted, it is different than it was back in the day for a lot of
Yeah.
families, but there's just like this emotional capacity that's expected of the females, and it's interesting because it's almost like the structural emotional capacity, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it gets filled in with like actions of like responsibilities and duties and things like that that are very much close to home and more of those personal actions, but it is a lot of like the this
Mhm.
defined structure for a family that gets like pushed upon the
Mhm. Mhm.
female for sure.
Yeah, still even today, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um
Interesting stuff. And it's
very.
really interesting to see how that carries over into interactions with other people. Like
Mhm.
and how the dynamic grows as like the family develops or as like new people come into the family. Like it's always very interesting to see. Like it's been very interesting for me to watch like how my brother is with his family and like
Oh,
how he's had his family.
yeah.
Um, it's really funny. We were like making a bunch of jokes on Easter about like how our family is relevant to the shits from Shits Creek.
That's such a good show.
Um, we were saying that my brother is more of a Patrick.
Okay.
Um, and then my mother can have her Moira moments, and
How was your mother, Moira?
I was like, sometimes I feel like it depends on the day if I'm David or Alexis.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um,
Yeah, it really
because
depends on the day.
right, because I feel like I could be totally be both. But it was just funny. It's just like all of those fun dynamics are really like very interesting to be able to play off, and I respect that show because I think that show shows it in a way that's so true that it's funny.
Yeah, without holding back any punches.
Right.
Honestly, it's just so it's just too funny. I have to finish that show. I haven't finished it yet.
Oh god. It gets
Yeah,
super sappy at the end, but you gotta love it for like you the journey.
for
Like
the
they
work.
all come
Yeah,
to like their journeys end and their full like growth, development and characters. It's really nice.
yeah, yeah.
Just super
Okay.
nice to see.
Yeah, I'm on like season 3, I think, of 6 or something.
So far this episode's gone literally all over the place.
Oh yeah, I don't even know where. You know what else came to mind? I don't know why BoJack Horseman came to mind. Have you watched that
I
show?
love that
The
show.
show is so good. Have we talked about this on this
I don't
podcast?
know, but it's
Probably.
terrible. You want to know? We've when I talked about it with other people, I think one of my favorite things about that show is their use of like animals
Yes. You know, I
because
feel like we vaguely touch on this show because I'm having deja vu.
oh, maybe I don't have a memory for anything anymore, but uh, I love the way they use animals in that show and depict like the quirky things about human characteristics that are relevant to animals and like the weird things that we do and
Yeah.
like the personalities how they connect
I'm like,
to different animals.
so I binge watched that over quarantine, like in the very beginning of quarantine. So it's probably
It
been a year
gets real
now.
dark though.
I know the dark humor though is my favorite.
It
And
gets
like it does get just dark in
real
general
dark
towards the end.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I'm trying to remember. I was like, is Diane the only human on that show? Like
No,
main.
yeah, a main character one. Yeah, I think she
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah. Because I can't remember any of like BoJack and like his family, obviously, and then the cat. I don't remember what the hell their names
Mr.
are.
Peanut Butter
Mr. Peanut Butter.
and
Such a good, such a good character.
like just such right and like that's a perfect personality trait. Like characteristics of that personality are wonderful.
That was a good show too, honestly, and like
It is.
very
I
the
definitely
depiction of like just mental illness, honestly.
right. You
Yeah,
definitely can appreciate it for that. And there are a lot of what was I just watching recently? Then I was like, "Yep, this is appropriate." Like, there's nothing better than watching a show and seeing somebody go through an emotional struggle and being able to relate to that emotional struggle.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's one of the beautiful things that we have, and like getting to watch TV and like take in media. You want to know what I don't like though,
What?
and what I still don't like, and it still drives me crazy. Guys, I don't like TikTok. Like I
Oh, you
don't
don't?
like TikTok. I think that it is the initial demise. Like it's the thing that's gonna tip the clock or like tip the
I love it.
it's gonna be the initial end to human society. I'm sorry, but I really,
TikTok
really
specifically.
yes, in my bones, I very strongly believe that what TikTok has created has just
Like the algorithm, or
like the concept of it. It's
like
just I
just watching
just
videos that you like, and like they're feeding you the videos that you start like.
and like the fact that you can get lost in it, I think is
Oh yeah, 100%.
really dangerous.
I'm on there for hours, and I'm just like,
I can't do it.
and they have I think I've told you they have like a video at one point
Yeah, the
when
thing
it's
that
like
tells
an
you.
hour or two, and you're like, you've been scrolling too much. I'm like, oh,
And I just
who cares?
and I was thinking about this with YouTube too, because like it's crazy. Like the when we were talking, like
Hmm.
watching some videos from like the Try Guys and stuff. It's
Hmm.
crazy to me that like this is what they do.
I would love
Like
to do that,
this
honestly.
is what these people do, which I think is like really cool. But at the same time, it's like we just
They're content creators.
even I know, but even us, like with what we're doing right now, like
Yeah.
we as humans, and I think it's a beautiful thing because it's like an art form, but like we generate so much content as a society,
Oh
like
yeah, it's overwhelming.
so much content.
Yeah.
And I think that it's good and I think that it's important, but I feel like we also like consume like without
Yeah,
like
without thinking
conscious
about it.
awareness, like a
Oh yeah,
ton of
100%.
stuff.
And your subconscious gets filled with it, and then you're just like,
And it
how do
makes
I
me
know
really nervous.
that?
I was
Yeah.
giving a meditation like I was working with a group of actors this week, like
Hmm.
senior high school senior actors, and I was giving them
Hmm.
a meditation class. And while I was doing it, like some of them are in person and some of them are virtual.
Yeah.
And I like was like, okay, like I'm not a big fan of my voice. Like I'm gonna tell you right off the bat. So if you find my voice disturbing, like don't listen to me when I talk and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
try to get comfortable. And they were all like, why don't you like your voice? Like, there's nothing wrong with your voice. And I was like, well, I was like, I have a very negative relationship with my voice. So I, tell myself that I don't like the sound of it. And they were like, what do you mean you have a negative relationship with your voice? And I was like, well, I started to realize like I don't like listening to myself talk in my head. And when I started to understand the psychology of it, I started to realize like why. So of course we got into this whole conversation about the psychology of self-talk, which we've done previously on this show.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I was saying how, like the first voice that you start to hear in your head is your own, right? And usually that voice is not telling you things that like you think about yourself. It's usually telling you things that are shaped by like other influences outside of you.
Hmm.
And by the time you're like, the age of these teenagers, like high school graduating seniors, 90% of the things that you've heard and repeated to yourself are negative. So you
Yeah,
have a
unfortunately.
negative relationship with the voice that's in your head because of that.
Unless you're like mentally stable.
Cool. What's that like?
I know, 100%. I'm just saying.
um
Must be nice. I don't know how it's
So
like, but
I was like,
I'm just saying unless you're mentally stable, then yeah.
I was like, so I was like, kind of telling them this, and they were like, oh. And for a second, I think they were like a little shocked that I like
That is
shared that
straight. Yeah.
information, but they were like, oh, like I don't like my voice either. And I was like, okay, well, we're all gonna practice like talking to each other out loud more in this
Yeah.
whole situation. But it was just, I
Wow.
mean, we're
Wow.
getting there. I mean,
Um
it doesn't help you like your voice when through most of your years, literally up until honestly a year ago, people would tell you that you sounded like Minnie Mouse or like that
oh.
you sounded
Oh
um
yeah. Yeah.
me and my high pitched voice, and then people used to confuse me and my mother, and then they used to say how high pitched my mother's voice was, and then I'd be like, oh god.
Yeah, yeah.
So
When
it
your mom
doesn't
doesn't
none of that helps.
No, and people do that unconsciously, just like saying those one off
Right, right.
whatever. They don't mean
So
any harm, but to you it's obviously
and
different.
now flash forward to 2020 and 2021 where I decided to do this with Maria, where people just listen to my voice constantly.
I was like, do you listen to our podcast when they go
I
up?
don't listen. No, this is part of the reason why we have these where I tell you, we're like, oh, do we listen? You listen to us? And I'm like, I can't.
So I do.
I
So
can't. It's
that's
gotta
another
even
difference
with
that we have.
like
At least not certain episodes. I don't. I feel like I don't know.
I don't listen to our episodes for the sake of listening to me, but sometimes I get I get like mentally fixated on like one thing that I say, and then I don't listen to the rest of like I can't focus to the rest of what we're having a conversation of, and then I have to
It
go back to it later.
it's funny because like I treat podcasts as just like white noise while I'm working. So I was listening to our podcast probably this past week or the week before.
Hmm,
I'm literally sitting in my cube. My headphones are in, and I'm like, this person sounds very familiar. It's fucking. I'm listening to my fucking myself. Like I'm just like I'm listening to myself.
that's
Of course, it
amazing.
sounds familiar. It is literally the voice
That's
in your head.
wonderful. Oh my
Um,
goodness.
but that's fair. A lot of I think content creators once they hit publish don't even look at what they publish because
I can't I even with my teaching and things like that, I don't like
yeah,
I taught a whole workshop today to a room full of like teachers,
yeah,
right? And I was like, I don't like if you like I don't want to know what came out of my mouth. Like I don't want to know what I sounded like. And the thing that's really bad about it is like
mm-hmm.
you have to do that to be able to assess yourself and like
Yeah,
reflect. And so
yep,
throughout all like the teacher trainings that I had to do, like I always had to do that. So I had to get really good at focusing on the content and not focusing on like mistakes or
yeah.
anything like
I
that.
say yeah,
But I
yeah.
haven't had to do that in a long time, so I still find myself like getting caught up in it if I start to do it, and it's very frustrating. Battling the demons in your head are like it's not
It's a second job.
right. It's not a fun situation. What was I just listening to the other day? No, no, no.
Um,
There's a song. What song is it? Is that Head and Heart song? Have you ever heard that song?
the head and the heart, like in the heart. The
My
band.
head and my heart.
I'll say the band. Is there a band?
Da-da-da-da-da.
No, I have no idea what that is.
It's like a song on the radio, and I was listening to it this morning, and there's a line that they say where it's like, the angels tell me run, and the monsters call it love, and I feel like
Nope, no idea.
that like resonates like with the way like I think of the like my voice and the way I talk to myself, right? Like
Okay.
my sense of self and my like sense of like saving myself tells me like, hey, run, don't listen to this. But like all the monsters are like, no, this is what you're supposed to do. Like this is normal for you to say these terrible things to yourself. This is how you love yourself. And
Mental
it's like, ah, Jesus.
mental illness 101. Like I don't know. You just have to tell them to shut the fuck up, honestly. Like
I know, dude.
this past week I was
It's
like, shut up. Just like
easier
I
said
mean
than
easier
done.
said than done, obviously,
But
because
this is
like
why I function better at this like work 15 hours a day and don't have the time
that's
to
also
like
like a form of self harm. I'm just saying.
what.
You overworking yourself. Not that I can speak to it either, because like I do the same thing, but like I know what I'm doing.
But it's also I get really good at like it.
Being exhausted and falling asleep
But it's
randomly.
not even that like I don't do that during the week. It's just on the times when I know that I don't have to worry about anything, that I like can like turn everything
Your
off.
weekends.
But like yeah, but like the I was just talking to somebody else about this. He was like, "How are you? Why are you doing that to yourself?" Um, I feel the best in the. It's not like I'm overworking doing stuff that I don't care about. First of all, or like mindless things that make me angry. Like I am working doing what lights me up inside, and what lights me up inside is being in a situation where I get to like cultivate an environment where somebody else can feel successful, and like I get to help some like I get to be of somebody part of somebody else going on a really good journey. Like you know what I mean? Like in
Yeah,
whatever
no,
form,
for
whether
sure.
it's dance related or yoga related. So like even though I'm exhausted at the end of the day, like I feel really my soul is happy, even though
Okay.
my body is tired. So
Okay.
like I would rather have to recuperate from that and like narcolepsy, fall asleep at random points over the weekend than like
Okay.
be exhausted. You know what I mean? Like
No, that's fair.
my soul is full, my body is tired. But it was
Okay.
funny. I was texting my friend Joy about it, and she was like, "Oh, the wonders of like the limitations of being human." And I was like, "Yeah, like if I was a different type of being, I could just ride that the whole way and not get
Yeah.
tired."
Yeah, but except we're human and we have these shells of bodies, so
Yes, yes.
well. Okay. Um I had something to say throughout that whole thing that was just completely random and now I'm trying to remember it.
All right.
No, it's okay. I mean, this episode is just again, we're winging
Guys,
it.
we're all over the place. I was thinking about topics that we could specifically talk about everyone. I was gonna bring up
Um
like teaching today, and then I was like, I don't know if
I don't know if you want to
that's too
talk about
close to
that.
home right now.
Oh, I think when you were saying like the first like the voice in your head is your voice, like whatever you hear in your whatever. Or do you see like I don't know how this is relevant
You
in
could jerk
any
off.
sense. No, like some people when they think of I don't know if we had this conversation, but I've had this conversation with my sisters. Um, like when I say the word like apple, like do you see an apple in your head, or do you see the concept, or do you feel the concept of an apple in your head?
What the is feeling the concept of an apple in your
I will
what
tell
is
you. So, so
what
obviously,
does that even mean?
so you obviously you clearly are telling that you see an apple in your head.
Yeah,
Yeah, correct.
because I'm
Yeah,
also a very visual person.
that's what I'm saying. So sometimes I can see the apple, but it's very fuzzy, but I know it's an apple. Like I don't fully visualize things in my head anymore, apparently. I've just started to notice this. Like if you tell me to think of something, I will see it, but it's not visual. I know it's there, but it's not I don't have the picture in my head.
I have no words for this. Wait,
Like
okay,
it's
wait.
more like okay, yeah.
So you don't do you ever do like visualizations and like visual meditations? Anything like
No.
that?
No. What the
So
hell's a
okay, wait.
visual meditation?
Where it's
You
like
just
you go on a meditative journey and you like see things and you're
so
walking
it's
and you
very
imagine.
blurry. I don't it's not very concrete in my head, but I know what I'm looking at.
Do you all does that happen with your dreams too?
My dreams are very blurry. I don't know if people have very crisp looking fucking dreams, do they? Do you? See, I don't know.
Dude,
When I
there was
wake
a
up,
dream. I especially my nightmares are worse, and I literally this I can bring this up because I remember having this conversation with Dan. I
okay,
had a nightmare. Don't know where it came from, where
yeah,
I was in, and it's you don't ever you don't ever wake up from your night your dreams or your nightmares like feeling like, oh, I was just there, like I'm sweaty, I'm crying, I'm like
yeah,
happy, I'm
but
like
I don't.
you don't
Okay, so like
remember exactly why.
I wake up like let's just take a dream for example, right? Like say I'm in like Disneyland or something. I don't fucking know. It's the first thing that popped up in
I
my head.
wish that my dreams took me to Disneyland. First of all,
um, I would wake up and be like, oh, I definitely had a dream of something. It would take me a second to be like, oh, I was in Disneyland, but I can't visualize it fully.
Oh, that sounds so nice because okay, wait. So let me
But like
tell you.
I will say when I do have nightmares though, it's very blurry, but I know what I just saw.
Let me tell you how my nightmares go down, and let me tell you about the most recent one that I remember.
Okay. Okay.
I was in like a really tall building that was like a dorm room for whatever reason. Like, you remember, like, you know what dorm room furniture looks like, right? Like those stackable beds, the really crappy
Mm-hmm,
desks, like all that stuff. So all this stuff was in the room, and I was like sitting at the window, and it was one of the windows that like you pull and it slides, like the
yes.
slide
Okay.
glass
Yeah.
door windows. And I
Yeah.
pulled it and I opened it, and the screen like popped out and was like hanging off the building, but was like flat, like outward.
Okay.
Right. So like I was like
Okay.
trying to get it, and I couldn't get, like, and I like almost fell out the window, and I couldn't get it to pull it back up. And then out of nowhere, Maji, this is my cat, guys,
Yeah.
and it's in this dorm room for some reason. Maji jumps up on the windowsill and goes to walk out onto the screen. And if you guys have ever seen a cat walk and like they try to walk on something, and like they start to like wobble at their butt and they fall off. Well, I watched her. Oh, I just turned my light off. I watched her wobble and then fall off this building
Oh God.
with me like leaning out the window trying to grab her.
Yeah.
And then she fell, and then I woke up.
Oh God. And you saw that
And
very vividly. Yeah. Yeah.
clear as
Clear as
day.
day.
Like
Clear
I
as
was
day.
in it and it was happening and I was there.
That's number one terrifying because
That's
two
what my
parts.
nightmares are like.
Number one,
So
it's
like when
terrifying because like I hate heights, so and you also don't like heights, and
I
also
do
number
not
two,
like
like
heights.
number two, that's your cat just falling.
Right. That was
To
my world ended. My
yeah,
whole world ended. But
right.
that's
No,
what my
that's
nightmares are like. So like when people have nightmares like they're getting murdered or like something, that's what my nightmares are crisp.
I'm not saying like it's blank in my head, right? I'm not saying like it's very blurry though. I can't visualize.
Oh no, I close my eyes and I see it.
If I close, I'm having a very random flashback right now. Do you remember when Ashley was on our podcast, and it was my birthday?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and it was the height of quarantine. I was like, at one point, I could not freaking like remember what she looked like. Literally, that is me
Yeah.
telling you that I don't see things in my head. Like in the
Does
sense
it
that like,
count with people's faces though? Because I feel like
oh, it counts as like everything. If you, I mean, like,
I
if
can like see
I'm
the
literally,
person's face in my head, but it's like it's very hard to like bring all those details back up.
it's very just fuzzy. Like literally, if you're telling me like an apple, like I can see like the outline of it, but I know I'm looking at an apple.
And in my head, the more I think about it, I'm like, it's this color, and this is where their light's reflecting
Like
off
it's
of
like
it, and this is the way that the stem is leaning. Like that's my brain.
it's like very like it's a very cartoonish apple. I guess I don't fucking know, but like I just know that it's an apple because like if I interacted with it, I know the texture and like the feeling of it. I've
This is
started seeing
very
this is
weird.
also goes back to like TikTok because like they're like, are you a visual learner or do you see things in your head or do you just feel it and you know? Because and like it was one of those TikToks and I was like, when I started thinking about it, I was like, oh, like I can kind of see it but not fully. But apparently people see it very clearly in their head.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's so weird. I never thought about that before.
yeah,
Do
and
you
also
see, can you, when you think of a word, do you see the word? Do you see yourself writing out the word?
like now this is like give me a word. I don't know if I can know.
I don't know. I
Like I
guess
can see the word. Like there's also a thing where apparently if people are reading books, they don't see the words in their head. Like when I read, I can see the words in my head, and I'm like the words are flowing in my head, but other people they don't see the word.
I don't do that unless I'm
That I don't know.
focused on the word. Like I see the word in my brain and I picture myself writing it, or
No, I
like
don't
I picture
know.
myself. Honestly, I feel like right now I'm getting like I'm picturing the word action and it's coming up in like a typewriter font.
Yeah, like yeah, for the most part, yeah, yeah,
Well, I don't do that with words. I do that with like I'm a big imagery person though, and we've known this in this
yeah. We know that.
show. Like I use a ton of analogies and I'm huge on
Yeah,
imagery. So like
I
that's
don't.
what
Yeah, I just
your
thought.
brain is crazy.
I mean, it was just different.
No, no, I'm just
I
saying
know.
the brain period is
Oh, the
crazy. That
brain.
it's
Yeah.
it's
Why?
all
What?
different.
I was like, I think. What was? Why did start
I don't
talking about
know.
this?
We were talking about how TikTok is going to end the world.
Oh, because you said something and it triggered my whole like, oh, do you actually see things in your head? I really don't see anything clearly in my head. There's just too much
I
going
literally
on.
don't see anything clearly in real life without my contacts. So is
I
that
mean,
just
fair
am
enough.
I making up for the fact that I'm literally blind? Does that count for something for me?
Your inner eye is open.
Yeah, yay. Another thing. You know what I've been making a lot of references to lately, and it's really bad, and I've been trying to catch myself so that I stop. I've been
Well,
saying a lot this week, like, oh, I need that on a shirt.
oh my god.
Like
Is that a new
my
catchphrase?
I guess so, and it's not intentional. And there was a point when I said it during like the time I was saying it in my head. I was like, in my head, I was like, oh fuck, why are you saying this again?
Overused.
Yeah,
It's
I
overused
don't
now.
say it
Well,
within
I
the
mean,
like I say it around all different audiences. I don't say it in front
so
of
it's
the
not
same
like the
group of
same
people.
person.
But like in my mind, I'm like, Brittany, why do you?
Where
Why do
did this
you?
come from?
I
Yeah,
don't know. I guess I just like it, and I guess it
I
makes like
guess.
it amuses me and entertains me to think about things on. Like I feel like people use like slogans on like even you right now.
Yeah.
You have a
I
whimsically
have,
funny
yeah, it's not
thing on
funny.
your
It's
shirt
just
right now.
phenomenally Asian for people that aren't watching right
It's
now.
very whimsical, and I'm
Yeah.
for it. And like I feel like messages on shirts now are a thing. So like,
Yeah.
what was the? I don't know what I said. One of them was like related to being a dance teacher. I've been like using it a lot, and I'm like, I think about it
Find a new
makes me
catchphrase.
giggle. It makes me giggle when I think about these things on shirts.
Okay, maybe you can find a new catchphrase. Maybe
Yeah, I don't know what
your
it is
brain is
though.
like, can you find something else to say?
And it's funny because it comes out and it's kind of like a knee jerk reaction, and my inside of me is like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. It is what it is.
Tis tis what happens when you're too tired to think of new things to say.
Yep, exactly.
But it's okay.
All right.
So you guys can give us things to talk about because clearly Maria and I have don't have any more topics left.
Yeah, well, we are also filming at like 9, 10 now, so 10 o'clock at night. So my brain is shot.
Yeah. We'll have to come up with new topics. We have new guests coming and joining us
Mm-hmm.
in the future as well.
Yep.
But we'll find well, you know me. I'll find something will happen during the week and I'll have to remember to text you so that we actually
Yeah.
do have a topic to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Okay. All right. This is a short one, I think.
Yeah, this is
It's
like
like
a
I
mini
can't.
episode. This
Yeah,
is just
we
a
can't.
check in with us guys. Bleep.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Bleep bleep.
I don't have anything else to give right now.
I don't either.
Okay. All right.
At least we did it. We didn't say no. We got on and we did it at 9 o'clock on us. Guys, see, even when you say you're tired and you don't wanna, you can
Well,
still do it.
yeah. 100%. Okay. I'm tired. All this brain talk has gotten us tired.
Oh man.
Okay.
Literally, now I'm gonna start yawning. All right, well, thanks for hanging out with us today, guys. If you have anything else that you'd like to talk about, you know what I've been listening to a lot of in the morning because I wake up really early and I'm driving. I listen
What?
to a lot of radio shows in the morning now that are very entertaining. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll start
Oh God.
putting little
Here we
pins
go.
in my brain about different things that they bring up, and then we can discuss them with you.
Great. Even better. Love morning talk shows. High quality.
Oh man.
Okay.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for joining us on this episode, whatever the hell this is, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll talk to you guys next week.
Okay. Bye.